Just as East Africa was settling into the new year, gunmen stormed an upmarket hotel and office complex in the Kenyan capital Nairobi, killing 21 people. The Al-Shabaab militant group claimed responsibility for the attack on the Seat D2 hotel in Riverside, Nairobi. The attack came on the eve of a verdict in the trial of 3 men accused of aiding the Al-Qaeda-linked militant group in yet another deadly assault on Kenyan soil, the 2013 Westgate Mall attack, in which 67 people were killed. In March, the region, and indeed the world, was in shock following the news that an Ethiopian Airlines plane, Boeing 737 MAX, had crashed a few minutes after takeoff from Addis Ababa. All the 157 people on board the ill-fated plane died. They included 32 Kenyans, 18 Canadians, 9 Ethiopians, 8 each from China, the United States and Italy, 7 each from France and Britain, 6 from Egypt, 4 each from India and Slovakia, among others. Investigators blamed the Boeing 73 MAX flight control system for the accident, as well as a similar one in Indonesia in October 2018, in which over 194 people died. In December, Boeing announced they would suspend production of their 737 MAX airliner starting in January next year. In April, Sudan's military ousted dictator President Omar al-Bashir after months of anti-government protests against his 3-decade rule. A military council took over power for a 2-year transitional period. In December, al-Bashir was convicted of corruption and illicit possession of foreign currency, and he was sentenced to 2 years of detention in a reform facility. The presiding judge also ordered the confiscation of millions of euros and Sudanese pounds found in Bashir's residence when he was toppled. In neighboring South Sudan, President Salva Kiir and his rival, rebel leader Dr. Riek Machar, failed to agree on the formation of a unity government in May, forcing the U.S. to recall its envoy to Washington for consultations. The recall has been followed by sanctions against individuals the U.S. says are stalling the peace process and the formation of the unity government. Having missed the May 12 deadline set in the peace agreement to form a unity government, the leaders set themselves a November 12 deadline, which was missed as well. The leaders were given another 100 days by the African mediators to form the government. South Sudan watchers, however, say it is unlikely that South Sudan will resolve all the outstanding issues within 100 days. In Ethiopia, Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed's peace efforts paid out. Abiy won the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize in October for his peacemaking efforts, which ended the 2 decades of hostility with Ethiopia's longtime enemy, Eritrea.
I was a young soldier when war broke out between Ethiopia and Eritrea. I witnessed firsthand the ugliness of war in frontline battles. There are those who have never seen war but glorify and romanticize it. They have not seen the fear. They have not seen the destruction or heartbreak, nor have they felt the mournful impotence of war after the carnage.
In sports, Kenya's Olympic marathon champion Eliud Kipchoge made history in October as he became the first athlete to run a marathon in less than 2 hours in Vienna. Kipchoge will be back in London in April to defend his title. On that winning note, we end this year's coverage from the East African region. See you next year. Sarah Kimani for SABC News in Kenya.